everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make these N7 pants for a casual shepherd look. So first of all, I started with an old pair of dress pants that I had, and I just put like a front pleat, seam, whatever, down the front of it. Fun little pro tip is that you can put a ruler inside the pant, so it gives you something to pin on. It's easier to do instead of accidentally pinning through the other side. So that's done, but I could only get so far into my machine with the pant leg, so I had to hand sew the rest of it down the leg, which was great. Yeah, here's some fun little B-roll that I took of making a knot, you know? But I also went to my local Goodwill and then I purchased a second pair of dress pants so that I could do that second layer that goes on top of the pants. So, and I ended up just detaching the belt portion of those pants to make it a little bit sleeker and less chunky at the top there. Right, and then I just I put the pants on and then I pinned where I thought I wanted the top shape to be, and then I went around with just a colored pencil and marked it out. Because it's black, I had to use a yellow lighter pencil. But yeah, this will come out with steam. If you iron it and press it, you can just steam it and it'll come right out for ya. And I had originally pinned it while it was on me, and then once I took it off and I marked it with the pencil, I kind of evened it out with measurements and made sure that it was all good to go. And then I went ahead and thread marked it so that way it would just be easier to see on both sides and I wouldn't have to worry about that later on trying to figure out where it went. Here's my little fluffy baby boy, just for you. He was a big help on this project, lots of moral support. Alrighty, and then I just bought some bias tape from, I think it was Walmart, and this bias tape was actually a little bit large, so what I did was I ended up just opening it up and then essentially just cutting it down the middle, so it pretty much doubled my bias tape as opposed to just the one. I was able to have two sections of bias tape that I could use for both of the little stripes that go along the pants around the edge. So yeah, I just cut it down the middle and then I re-ironed it to give it that shape. And then it's my cat again. Right, in here I'm just pinning the bias tape along the edge, and of course I am pinning on a work surface that my cat just lays on 24/7. So the pants are now incredibly furry, but that's okay. Get a great shot of my hand. Anyway, so I just pinned along the edge here and just made sure it was nice and smooth. Featuring a bunch of cat hair. Then you're just going to take it over to your sewing machine and stitch along the edge there. Alrighty, and once that was done, I went ahead and took a second layer of the bias tape, the second part that I had cut and re-ironed, and then I am just placing that along the other side, right on top of the other one. I didn't really measure this out, I just kind of eyeballed it because measurements are for the weak. And a second angle of this, because apparently you need more than one angle. But yeah, then I would just sew along the edge here for putting this bias on. I just sewed one edge, I didn't sew both edges down because that seemed like more of a hassle than what it was worth. Oh, and look. It's a pretty boy, taking a nice little nap, being incredibly soft and incredibly sweet. As I said, a great big help during this entire process. He had lots of opinions to give. Alrighty, and then here I'm just stitching it on. And I do recommend taking out your pins before sewing over them. Do not sew over your pins, even though I used to. And then I got a new machine and it scared me because this machine was expensive. So I don't want to ruin it. So I made sure to just go slow and take your time going around the curves at the bottom of the pant. I should mention that this is the outer layer of the pant. So just that top layer, not the base pant. So yeah, just take your time going around the curves, making sure they're nice and smooth, and because it is bias tape, it will have that give to it, so it makes it a lot easier to go around curves and edges and things like that. And you just want to make sure to press it afterwards, to press and steam it to make sure it conforms to those curves nicely. And then this is the top part with the bias tape finished. And then we're going to move on to making pockets next. So I just patterned out really stupid, crazy, simple pockets. I will link down below to the tutorial that I found on YouTube that helped me make these 3D kind of cargo pockets. Yeah. And then I just took the extra fabric that was left over from me hacking up the top layer of the pant. And then I went ahead and flatlined that onto some stiffer material so that way I could make the pockets and that they would stay in a better shape. Yeah, and flatlining, you're just going to be sewing around the edges just right outside the lines. And then for the little circly buttons that are on there, I went ahead and just purchased some buttons from my local craft store and I painted them a nice silver, and here I'm adding some highlights to the silver. But yeah, I went ahead and I painted them silver on the outside and then black in the middle, so that way it would give off the look of a grommet, but without the hassle of a grommet. Because I also had 0 of the tools to put grommets in, so that would have been annoying, to say the least. So I went ahead and just added some weathering, some highlighting on the edges here to give it a little bit more dimension. And then these are the finished little buttons that we will be putting along those designated spots. And I just went ahead and when I put the pants on, I marked where I wanted the buttons to be and spaced them evenly. And then I measured that and I transferred that to the other side so that way they would be as even as possible, even though measurements are for the week. So yeah, and then I just stitched those on easy peasy because they're not functioning buttons. You don't have to worry about putting a shank on them or making them, I don't know, sturdy. Alright, and then this is just me attaching the top layer with the bias tape onto the base pant. I already went ahead and sewed the top of the pant to right underneath that belt area of the base pant. So I just folded it under and did a nice little top stitch around the whole waist area of the pant. So this I'm just making sure everything is smooth and nice, and this is where your thread marking comes in handy that you did earlier, to where you can just kind of go off of that as a base layer, and then once everything is pinned, I do recommend going ahead and trying it on just to make sure everything looks nice before you go ahead and stitch it. And then this is me in pant leg hell, slowly dying because it's terrible to sew into a pant leg. I should also mention I went ahead and put the pockets on before adding the top layer onto this base pant, because otherwise you'd be sewing through both layers and then that'd just be crazy. Because with flatlining the thicker material onto the other one and then folding it and then turning it and then corners, it would just be incredibly bulky. So I went ahead and just put the pockets on the top layer instead of putting them through both the top and the base pant. And when you're stitching inside of a pant leg like this, you just need to take your time and be slow with it and make sure not to catch both layers but just the one layer. And it is the worst. But you know, it had to be done. Alrighty, and then I just took some of these little like half pearls that I found somewhere, and I painted those silver as well for the little, I don't know, metal bits that are on the pockets there. So I'm just gonna end up super gluing those on the corners. I also stitched some Velcro on the pockets for easy opening and closing. And then I also put a couple of snaps on the bottom one because the bottom pockets were too small for me to get my sewing machine into. And then after those were glued on, I went ahead and I took some of the light silver paint from earlier and I went around the edges of the pockets to get that nice silver edge on the pockets. Shout out to my cat for also being a part of this entire process by just constantly being on these pants through the way of shedded fur. Love that for me. So yeah, you're just gonna go around and weather. I also weathered that front seam on the base pocket that we did in the beginning. I went ahead and weathered that a little bit. Alrighty, and then this is the full look together with the jacket and the pants. The jacket I just bought online somewhere, I don't remember where. So yeah, you can see the little buttons that we used earlier and the weathering on the pocket. I forgot to mention I did also take that belt from the top pant and I ended up putting that around the knee area where there's that strap on the knee. So that's just the belt area from the top pant. Just paired it with a black t-shirt, because why wouldn't you? And that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, whatever you're gonna do with this. And I appreciate it a lot. Bye-bye.